Welcome back. Let's talk about Bellevue, Washington, because there's 152,000 people that live there, and it can be important to them, and it can be important to you as well. So thank you for joining me, and let's jump in. If you're new to my channel, I like to cover the areas inside of the Seattle city limits and around, Washington in general, because I like to cover real estate, because you work there, you live there, and it might be, like I said, important to you. So let's just jump in, and thank you for joining me. Bellevue, Washington is on the east side of Lake Washington. Now, Seattle is obviously where the Seattle Space Needle lives, as well as I do. And Lake Washington divides the east side and Seattle. Now, the east side is what we call Bothell, Kirkland, Kenmore, Bellevue, all the little neighborhoods inside Bellevue, and then down to Renton, as well as the east side, like Redmond and Sammamish. But I wanted to actually get into Bellevue because I sat down with someone last week and they asked me if I could do a breakdown inside Bellevue. And I don't usually like to cover Bellevue because it's outside of the target market that I'm usually at. And when we start going into these numbers, you're going to see why when I actually get into it. But Bellevue, Washington, like I said, is located on the east of Lake Washington. It's connected to Seattle by both 520, that's a Washington state highway, as well as I-90. I-90 connects to Seattle, and then it goes all the way out to the east to Chicago. Also running north to south is 405. Now, if you are from California or you work at Amazon, you might be calling it the 405. It's not the 405, it's 405. And get that right, please. And again, like I said, I'm covering a little bit of the neighborhoods outside of Bellevue. I am including for these numbers Clyde Hill, Yarrow Point, and Hunts Point, as well as there's a little neighborhood down here called Beaux Arts, which is in our... it's right here, Beaux Arts Village. I'm including that, but I am not including Medina. And the reason why I'm not including Medina is because Medina is in the top 5 most expensive zip codes in the country. So I don't cover Medina because it's completely different. And this is where all of our uber wealthy live in the area. Like Paul Allen and, various other high-level executives all live in the Medina area. So I don't cover this because I want to give you an everyman's perspective actually where we're at. So let's get into the last 5 years of data because we kind of covered Bellevue, but I'll just give you a high end on it. 3/4 of the people inside of Bellevue have a bachelor's degree or higher. And I said there's about 152,000 people that live here. And that comes out to about 64,688 housing units inside of Bellevue. That means that there's roughly 2 people in each home, and the median income inside of the Bellevue, Washington area is $158,000. Now, again, I'm going to get into this a little later, but median is different than average. Median is the exact middle of the range. And so if you line up everybody's income from left to right, from lowest to highest, the exact middle is going to be roughly $160,000, when the average might be much lower than that, or could even be higher than that. Because again, like I said, there's a lot of our high-level executives that live inside this area. Employment rates right around 65%. But now that you have kind of a rough walk-on of what Bellevue looks like, let's get into the actual numbers. Because if you came to me and you say, hey, Victor, I want to buy a house inside of Bellevue, Washington, I say, hey, I got you, boo. I already did the math. There's 316 homes inside of Bellevue that are available for purchase. They're ranging all the way from a $200,000 condo all the way up to $58 million. And the average home inside of Bellevue that's available for purchase right now is $2,800,000. The price per square foot comes out to $914 a square foot, and they've been on the market for roughly 79 days as of this afternoon, and today is the 12th of October. Now, that might mean not a lot to you, but I actually am going to get into it for you with the numbers. And again, like I said, I don't usually cover the Bellevue market because this is not exactly the price point that I'm working in a day-to-day basis. The clients I work with are usually between a $300,000 and an $800,000 home on average. I have done a $1.4 million house that actually sold for 1.6. But again, this is when we're getting to the really, really high end of the real estate market. And just a regular real estate agent isn't usually going to be involved in that. The people that actually are in this, either they're insanely good at what they are doing, or they're well connected with these specific people that are there. Good example of this: Tyler Lockett has his real estate license, and he is selling real estate under his name. And he is one of the Seahawks players. He's selling to the team. I'm not connected with the people that play on the team, so now you have an idea where you're at. So let's get into the numbers here. So Bellevue, Washington, like I said, that's available right now for purchase. Inside of Bellevue, though, in September 2020, there was only 100 and let's get down to Victor's summary here. But the units sold, so these are the total houses sold inside of Bellevue for September for the last 5 years. And I'm comparing September 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. So you have an idea of what's actually selling inside of Bellevue. Now, there was 227 units sold inside of Bellevue for September 2020. And again, that's about 6 months into COVID. So you have an idea where we were at on that. Days on market were about 22 days on market. And the average cost of the average size house that we're using for this is 2417 square feet. And it's 3.5 bedrooms and 2.5 bath. And again, that's 2,417 square feet. This includes condos as well as townhouses. And just kind of forget about style or the size of the lot, and just consider it only a 2,400 square foot house with 3 beds, maybe a bonus room and 2.5 bathrooms. Now, September 2021, there was 235 homes sold inside of Bellevue. And again, this is the Beauards, Clyde Hill, Hunts Point, Yarrow Point neighborhoods are included. But there was only 235 homes sold during that period of time. That's September, and that was a 3% increase from the year before. Days on market, they were almost cut in half. It went down to 12 days on market. Now, in September 2022, and this is important because this is when the interest rates started to change, there was only 149 homes sold inside of Bellevue, Washington. And there was of those 148 homes sold, the average home cost $1,700,000. Now, that was roughly on the market for 28 days, just so you have an idea of where you're running again, and that's 16% higher than the year before. In 2023, there was a bit of a pullback, a little bit more. And there was 133 homes sold inside of Bellevue, Washington for September 2023. Rough days on market was 26.1 days on market. And the prices went down about $70,000. So to $1,630,000. Now this last year, and this is where I'm going to get into the differences of median and medium, because when I do this, I'm doing the medium, which is the average of the prices. But in a median, and I'm going to get into this, but last month for September of 2024, the average home cost just $3,000 less than $2 million, and this is 2,417 square feet, 3 beds. 2.5 bed, 3 beds, a bonus room, and 2.5 bathrooms. So that was an increase of about $360,000. Now this is where I'm going to break up medium and medium and average. But average, that's the average because I totaled up everything that's sold. Now, the median of that, the exact middle of that exact amount, goes to number 60 here. And the price per square foot was 718, and it was a 2,000 square foot house. So what I am noticing with this is the higher end homes sold this last year inside of September, when the year before that, yes, there were higher ends, but the averages were not quite there. Because when I do the medium, which is the middle here, the average house was $1,450,000 with 4 beds and 2.25 bath for 2,000 square feet. When I compare that against the last year, it comes out to exactly 1,325,000 on 4 beds, 2.25 bath, 2.5 bath, and 1960 square feet. So what that kind of averages out, it means that the higher end homes were selling this last year, when we were running into the lower end homes, quote unquote, the lower end of the average inside of Bellevue were selling last year. So, and again, I want to get into this specifically because, again, this goes outside of the target market that I'm usually working in. And it's kind of important to me to express this to you, that the people that are buying inside of Bellevue are very small on the population status, because one, I'm going to get into the numbers behind what it actually costs to qualify for that kind of mortgage for you. And again, I'm not a mortgage lender. I'm just a real estate agent. You can get a hold of me right here. But let's get into that right now. Now, to qualify into this price point, your monthly payment is going to be about $9,500 a month. And this is just before taxes, insurance, HOAs, special assessments, anything like that. This is just your interest in your payment. Now, mortgage guy is going to reach out to me, or someone's going to say that I'm misrepresenting the numbers. And this is coming from today's rates in Investopedia, which has the Washington State average at 6.5. And again, this is a jumbo loan. And jumbo loans are a little bit different on the price points, just so you have an idea. But you could go ahead and use this Google calculator for yourself if you have any questions on that. But I want to give you an idea of exactly what it would take to actually buy this kind of thing. Now, on a purchase budget, if you were to make that level of purchase, you're going to be at least bringing home $380,000 to get kind of close to in this price point. So without sufficient savings, and this is a down payment of $200,000. And again, I help anyone between $150,000 manufactured home out in Kent, all the way up to $1.6 million house in Bellevue and in Kirkland. But to get into these numbers specifically, you have to sit down and actually meet with a mortgage professional and work with a real estate agent to know what you're working on. I just want to kind of get into that for you a little more descriptive, because again, there's a client that might be watching this out there. I'm not discouraging you, but I want to have you an idea of where you're actually purchasing. Now, into the rent side of thing, to rent the average house, and again, this is the average house of the last 5 years for these price points inside Bellevue. The average house is 2,417 square feet, and again, that's 3 beds, a bonus room, and 2.5 baths. To rent that house, you're going to be paying on average about $6,000 a month on a rental. And again, when you compare it against a mortgage, the mortgage is going to be roughly $9,000 to $9,500. So you have quite a jump to go from renter to purchase, and that's about 160% increase, just so you have a rundown and an idea. So very specific to you as a purchaser, as well as a renter, where you're at. And then if you're also thinking about turning around and renting out the property, you're going to have to be clearing, $9,000, $10,000 a month if you go out and finance this on a loan. And this is one of the things that we're running into is a lot of the rentals are coming back onto the market and they're being sold because, obviously it's not even close to making their mortgage payments. And that's what we call the cost to carry for the loan. So again, this one's a little more conversational because I'm actually talking to someone in particular, and it was a pleasure working with you. I don't want to discourage you. I want you to know that this is personal finance, and it's very important that you work with people that you know and trust, and then at the same time, take your time because these homes have been on the market for roughly 80 days already, and you're going to be able to find something. And we haven't even gone to what's a good deal or what's not, but I want to have you and I want to give you an idea of what's actually on the market and what you're looking at. As always, it was a pleasure working with you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.